Hey everybody, welcome to today's new moon in Sagittarius. And that's not right. It's the full moon. Okay. Hey everybody, welcome to today's full moon in Sagittarius. And sorry to interrupt, but it's actually the full moon in Gemini, because we've just recently had the new moon in Sagittarius. You know, when the sun moves the Earth, and never mind. Do you mind if I join you for this video today? You know, it seems that it's Gemini season and doubles after all. Sure. Why not? I mean, what could possibly go wrong? The only thing is that we kind of need to be in a hurry because I need to get this video out in time.
Absolutely. So I think just before we let Red hurry us through this video, let's just slow down and recap what was taking place with the new moon in Sagittarius. Hey, I have a schedule to keep, you know? Anyway, the new moon in Sagittarius actually set in motion a process of becoming disengaged from the intensity of Scorpio's gaze. And what this energy brought us is the opportunity for us to become aware of the different perspectives, to allow for our perceptions to be opened. And there are two ways this can actually manifest for us. One of them is that because there's so many new directions that are available to us and so many new possibilities and potentials, that we can become deeply distracted by the nature of all possibilities. And two, which is really what I think is powerful to understand about the new moon in Sagittarius and what it's set off, as well as how you can integrate the Gemini feature here, is that after these series of very intense eclipses with the Scorpio and Taurus, we're now getting an opportunity to become connected to our individual flow, our individual truth, our individual sense of alignment. Because at this space over here, while there are also many truths available, you are becoming connected to the single truth that is yours, your organic truth, your organic flow. All right. That's great, but can we keep this moving along, please? Because with this full moon in Gemini, there seems to be a lot of challenges that are arising for people where there's a feeling of uncertainty around what is their sense of purpose? What is their sense of direction in life? Like, is there a sense of connection to their inner spiritual path? And how do I actually know if this is my truth or not? And that's a really good point. However, I feel that there is a deeper issue at play that actually causes these challenges to come to the surface. How about we take a look at the astrology of this full moon in Gemini and see if we can gain a deeper perspective on what's really going on. What do you say, Red? There's an opportunity here maybe to gain some insight for you?
So if you take a look at this chart over here, you can see there's an individuation from collective truths, and you can see the word closure. Now, what I mean when I say closure, what I'm implying is a cycle in which we get the opportunity to look at certain ideologies, certain beliefs that essentially separate you from your own sense of truth. What I mean by this is that in the solar eclipse and lunar eclipse messages, Scorpio Taurus showed that there was a deep underlying opportunity to look at belief systems and perspectives that we hold about ourselves that are disempowering to us. Okay, whatever that may mean for you individually. And around that, we'll have a story that will run as a way to keep that part of us separate. So this energy over here, this Mercury, Venus right at the top where I talk about individuation from collective truths, this energy is an attempt to look at where these patterns of truth exist and to ask ourselves the question, is this still relevant and true for me? Do I still need to run the script that separates me from myself? And the reason why I say this again, in terms of individuation, is the natural square between Jupiter, Neptune, and Venus and Mercury out at the top there, okay? Mercury is actually the planet that is influencing the Moon and Mars. Venus is the planet that's also influencing the North Node and Uranus. So again, this has a lot to do with the ability to look at individual truths that we hold about ourselves and ask us the question, is it still relevant? Is it still true? Do these truths still keep me bound to beliefs that are no longer relevant for me? Okay. So if we go ahead and look at this chart over here, I talked earlier in this video and I said that there's an underlying truth that actually is causing a lot of these challenges to come to the surface. And this is it. Essentially, we live in a world where, for the most part, a large part of our conditioning is shaped by the society's ideals and by our parents' ideals and values. And for the most part, these are necessary when we are growing up because we need direction. We need to understand how the world works. But a large part of that conditioning pattern does not include the ability to critically think about what you perceive and think. And this culture also dictates what's valuable and what's not. And a big part of that is something that we can't control. But another part of it is what it is that we individually have a creative purpose about. And so creativity and the ability to follow your sense of what is real and alive and correct for you is something that only you can decide and choose. And you have to be paying attention to your inner landscape, your inner experience of yourself and the environment in which you're in, and then have a mindset that allows you to either be in flow and to be excited about things and to feel a sense of continuity in your life that is a reflection of your desire. Or you can experience that consistent sense of being lost in the labyrinth, feeling like you're blocked because your actions and your desires are being, thwarted by external forces. And there's a deep underlying sense of feeling scattered, right? There's so many perceptions, so many directions, because ultimately there's an internal sense of feeling lost. So this energy is really trying to fuse you back to your individual sense of direction, your individual sense of purpose. And a big part of it is to understand this mechanism of when you're in the correct flow and not. That's a big part of the Sagittarius way of being, is what is your natural instinctual way? And again, that's another reference to the earlier problem that surfaces when it comes to people trying to live organically and in their own flow, is that we don't live in a society, in a world that has an understanding of individual flow. We're emerging into that, and that's why this is such an empowering new and full moon series, because this energy is helping us tune into your own state of process, your own state of flow. And to the most amount that you can actually do that, you should. And you should put yourself in a position to understand your individual sense of direction, because the Sag archetype is about that. It doesn't want to be bound by the rules of external forces, and you will feel that within this energy. And if you want to go deeper into this process of unbounding, and you want to become more conscious of your soul's desires, you want to work on your emotional resilience, heal wounds, then I want to invite you to a free 15-minute call where me or somebody on my team can see if we can genuinely help you. And there's a link down below in the description. All you need to do is fill out a form, and so that we can see what your current needs are, and then choose a time for us to meet, and we'll have a conversation, and see if there is a possibility that we can support you in some way. So if you go ahead and take a look at this chart over here, this is the full moon itself. And you'll see here leadership, curiosity, your nature, the collective, all of these are bound up together. And so again, in our society, and very much what Red actually suffers from, is trying to put his sense of direction, Chiron and Aries, along with the kind of strengths of a very Excel spreadsheet world, right? Everything's categorized, everything's blocked, everything's defined by certain things. And we're bound by those lines. And the Sag part of us does not want to. It does not want to be part of something that is unorganic to us. So this is a type of energy that is really trying to, again, promote a sense of curiosity into exploring your life, less from a linear perspective and more from seeing the multi-dimensions that are actually around you. And this can be a bit abstract in many ways, and it's supposed to be, because life is not linear in and of itself. We make it linear with our times tables and the calendars, and for the most part, that's how we've organized ourselves. But when it comes to the inner exploration of your expression of understanding of life and your truth and your creative purpose and how you navigate with flow, it can't overlay. So what this new moon and full moon energy is about is really beginning to promote an idea of Chiron and Aries, right? When can we step into a deep state of self-leadership, right? What does self-leadership look like? It looks like navigating from your choices, right? As much as you can work on what choices are available to you and concentrate on those choices and ask yourself, is this in alignment with my nature? The Mars in Gemini retrograde says, allow curiosity to explore, but also understand that everything has a timing, especially this retrograde Mars, right? It doesn't want us to move forward. It wants us to explore inwardly first. So it ties back with the first image that I showed you of the chart, where there's a need to look at where your perceptions of yourself are limiting, and then to ask that question, like, is this truth supporting me? And if it's destructive in your life, right? If it's addictive, if it's pulling you out of something that is for your highest sense, question it and ask yourself, what is it about? What do I believe about myself over here? Because this is a big part of the storyline as well. It's like, what do I believe to be true? And you'll probably find underneath that there's an underlying sense of some form of message that you've received growing up that said, you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't do this. So this full moon and new moon energy holds such diversity, right? There's not just one person. There's multiple angles. There's multiple structures. There's multiple perceptions that are all at play at this point. And the biggest one is, how do you find flow in an organic, natural way within your life? To how do you begin to look at what themes in your life really constrict your sense of exploration of your truth? And 3, understand that you are also in a symbiotic relationship with the collective, and sometimes when events don't occur the way that you want them to occur, it may not necessarily be because you are in control of that, but other dynamics need to happen in order for synchronicity to take place.
So, after listening to this astro report, I've begun to realize that I don't actually need to push for things to happen, and that if I really pay attention to the correct timing of events or situations, I can actually connect more to my inner flow and my sense of direction as it's coming from me. And I feel that this is a lot less frustrating than trying to fit myself into a box or define myself by expectations around things that are outside of me, if this makes sense. And I actually feel pretty relieved. And there's a sense that things will actually naturally unfold for me in the timings that are correct for my soul. Yes, that's it. You're so wise and patient. I just have 2 questions for you. Where did you come from, and why do you keep calling me red? Well, I'm your higher self, and you have a red jersey on.